Good morning. My name is Ann Packham, and welcome to the University Unitarian Universalist Fellowship online service. We are happy to see everybody here today, whether you're visiting for the first time or you're regular. I will make a plug that if you're a visitor, that somebody from our membership team will reach out to you and we'll, ask you if you want to get our newsletter and things like that, but I wanted to welcome you today. Everybody's on mute right now, but there will be an opportunity to speak during joys and concerns. I'm also going to ask if you don't have your chalice already, you can go and grab it. Of course, I've forgotten mine since I'm working in a different place, but if you have a chance to go get your chalice, I welcome the opportunity to go and do that now before we get started. Before we actually really get into the meat of the service, we'd like to give our committee chairs an opportunity to tell us about the business that's going on at the church. I don't know if I'm doing committee moments, Martha, or someone else doing that. I'm happy to do it either way.
I would be happy for you to do it. I did not ask anyone else.
Okay, so are there any committee representatives who would like to give an update real briefly on what's going on in your committee? I think I see Judith's hand waving, the first one I saw.
Sure, because just a piece of information for parents today. We have a guest again in the classroom. We had Neuron Sykes last week, and that recording will be ready sometime this week. This Sunday in the RE classroom, we have Pastor Jim Coffin coming to speak to us about Seventh-day Adventists. So if your kids can please attend, or parents or kids of all ages, check your RE news link. I'm done.
Thank you, Judith. I appreciate that. Joey, did you have your hand up, or it's gone down now? Or is it Kelly going to speak on your behalf? I see Kelly's hand up.
Go ahead, Joey. I'll go after you. I've got a few things. You're on mute though.
Okay, sorry. Okay, I just wanted to, Mary Ann has asked Kelly and I to give you guys an update on the food program, our food and fun drive. I don't want to, that will be benefiting Second Harvest. I had one person last Monday evening. So if you haven't contributed yet, it would be really helpful. Search your pantry, see what you have in excess, or the next time you go to the grocery store, for heaven's sakes, when it has a 2-for-1, think about buying something that you can donate for the food and fun drive. There's a lot of need, obviously, right now in our state. That said, I also wanted to, I'll be there for food pickup between 5 and 7. We did have 2 food boxes last week that we had ready for people to pick up. Since no one claimed them, we did donate them to members of our congregation. And we also, in those boxes, we will have them again on Monday. They will be available this Monday. So if you need food, or if you know of anyone does not have to be a church member, who might be in need, please contact me. My information is in the notable news, and I'd be happy to hear from you and to arrange to deliver it if that's necessary. We also have a SAC meeting today at 11:55. That's our Social Action Committee. So if you need the link, it is in the information that Mary Ann sent out to the committee. But if you have a problem, contact one of us or let us know at the end of service, and we'll make sure that we send you the link. Thank you. I'll turn it over to Kelly now.
Yeah, thank you, Joey. Well, good morning, everyone. And I just wanted to provide a report on the SACS committee and our church's initiative, which is fighting hunger and feeding hope in our community. And we just completed week 3, and we've done some outstanding work. I wanted to share with you that this phase, which is our phase 2 approach, is to provide your donation, if you've donated, plus asking one of your neighbors to donate as well. And there's several ways that we can do that. And so one is actually as what Laura Owens actually is doing right now, and that's to have her own food drive in her neighborhood. But a success story was when I was on the campus, church campus on Saturday, a friend of Laura Owens drives up and drops off 3 bags of Trader Joe's canned goods and says that she's a friend of someone that goes to church here. And so to me, that makes sense that, you know, we're doing a great job in reaching out to our community. So again, that is our goal for this, you know, for the next 3 weeks, is try to reach out to people in our community. You can do that by downloading a flyer and maybe walking it over to your neighbor and just letting them know that the Unitarian Universalist is having a food drive for Second Harvest, and give them, it does have Second Harvest's contact information as well as your own. And try to, again, reach out to our community and let them know all the good works that we're doing. The second thing is I want to mention is that we had a residential neighbor. It's a subdivision next to the church. She walked up yesterday to the food drive where Miak and I were at, and she said that she saw our street sign, and she saw the information on the street sign that we were having a food drive, and she wanted to. She walked up to our table and wanted to know more about who we are. Long story short, she leaves, goes back to her house, and comes back with a check for $60 made out to Second Harvest, and she wants to join our social action committee. So again, the sign is working. I'm excited about that. We're reaching out to our community and our friends and our family. That seems to be working. That's great news. And then I just want to leave it with this, is that everyone knows that we have a renter. I would consider them a great partner. We reached out to them and said, hey, guess what? We're doing a food drive for Second Harvest. We're collecting food, you know, because our community needs it. Would you like to participate? And Church of God said, yeah, we'll help in any way that we can. Don't know exactly what that looks like. But long story short, got an email from Trista, who said that Church of God has actually made a contribution, a donation for $400. So $400 from our renter to go towards, you know, our initiative. I mean, this is just wonderful, wonderful things that we're doing. And I just wanted to just let you guys know that we got 3 more weeks. We still have time to make more of an impact in our community. And I think that's all that I really have to say, except for so far in terms of funds, we've raised $870. We'll give you a breakdown of the quarterly meeting on that, plus all the food and all the outreach that we're doing. We've done an outstanding job. So I'm sorry to take so much time, but I wanted you to know that some things are really working and what those things are. So I'll hand it over to you, Ann. Thank you.
Thanks, Kelly. Appreciate the update. I'm glad to be here. We're making such a big impact. I see
Yeah.
a lot of hands up, so we'll go quickly. Dave Simons, I see next. Dave, go ahead.
Yes, for IT, I'm doing some training on how to use the church emails for council members, and how to use the drive storage, how to set up your phone, how to set up your computer. If you're interested in learning how to use them, contact me at itadmin@uuuf.org or Anne at vp@uuuf.org, or you can try texting us. That's it.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks. I appreciate that, because we're trying to get a reinvigorate our committee chairs and our council. And part of that is communicating better through our Google processes. So I appreciate that, Dave. Chloe McElroy, I see your hand was up at some point. Is it still up?
Hi, yes, I'm still up. Let me just, can I put it down now? Lower hand. Okay, cool. Hi. We have Millennial Group this Thursday, the 11th at 6:30. It's going to be in person around the fire pit. We're doing a Valentine's theme. So however you want to, think of celebrating Valentine's. I'm going to drop my information in the chat if you have any questions. We have a Facebook group. We have an email chain. If you want to be part of Millennial Group, let me know. 21 and up. Bring your snacks, bring your drinks, bring your masks, because those are important. And we'll see you there at 6:30 Thursday at the church.
Thank you, Chloe. John Mowbray, I can't see your face because you're on another screen of mine, but I believe you have your hand up.
I have my virtual hand up.
Yes.
Good morning, everybody. On behalf of Facilities and Grounds, just want to let everybody know that not this Saturday, but the 20th, February 20th will be the next work day. So if you can come out and help clean up around the the outside and maybe inside. We could use any of the talents that you have. So thank you very much.
And John, what time is that again on the 20th?
The 20th, basically 9 to 12, but any amount of time y'all can spend would be much appreciated.
Great, thank you. Amanda, I think you also have your hand up.
Yes, thank you very much, Anne. I'm representing Parent Support Group. We have our meetings on Sundays at 9 p.m. So those who are charged with taking care of little ones and you need some extra support, please come and join us. We welcome you.
Thank you, Amanda. I can't, for some reason on this laptop, I can't see the virtual hand. So I know Judith has been helpful in that. Are there any other hands that I'm not seeing raised? Speak now or wave your hand. I think we've got, oh, I see Roberta's on there. Go ahead, Roberta. Oh yeah, women's group probably. Wait, Roberta, you're muted.
Do you want to mention our next women's group meeting?
Yes, the next women's group is going to be a virtual one on Friday evening, the 20th. Is that right? Sorry, whatever that Friday, the 19th, I think it is. 19th at 7 p.m. So check your email for that. And if you are not on the women's group email list, you can shoot me an email and I will add you. And I'll put that in the chat, but I can't do that right now because I have to do this. I can only do so many things at once. Any other committee moments? Okay. I think we're done with the business of that part of the day. All right, so my opening words today, just to settle into our shared sacred space, are from Audette Fulbright Fulson. She's a minister at the Unitarian Church of All Souls in New York City. And she has the following poem that I felt related to our service today. Did you rise this morning broken and hungover with weariness and pain and rage tattered from waving too long in the brutal wind? Get up, child, pull your bones upright. Gather your skin and muscle into a patch of sun. Draw a deep breath into your lungs. You will need it, for another day calls to you. I know you ache. I know you wish the work were done, and you with everyone you ever loved were a distant shore, safe and unafraid. But remember this, tired as you are not alone. Here and here and here also there are others weeping and rising and gathering their courage. You belong to them and they to you, and together we will break through and bend the arc of justice all the way down into our lives. We will have opening music, which is Woyoya, and I'm assuming that Patrick's gonna play that.
We are going, heaven knows where we are going, but we know this, and we will get there. Heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will. It will be hard, we know, and the road will
Thank you. And thanks to our program team who have done really an exceptional job in the last several months, like finding these fantastic music to play, and it's all playing without glitches. It feels really nice. So thank you very much to our program team. Now is the time we will light our chalice. It's our tradition in our faith to light a chalice. If you have one near you, my lovely husband did bring me one in the end. So see if my lighter works though. So we will light our chalice. If we were face to face, we would have this at the front of the room and have one of our youth lighting it for us, but we don't have that benefit today. So try to imagine one of our young kids going up there and lighting our chalice. So we will say together, in the light of truth and the warmth of love, we gather to seek, to sustain, and to share. It's also the tradition in our church to affirm sort of why we're here and why we come together week after week. So please say together with me, love is the spirit of this church and service is its gift. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek truth in love, and to help one another. I want to welcome all of our guests today. If you're visiting for the first time, we are a lay-led congregation, which means we don't have a called minister. Every week we have different speakers from different religious backgrounds, from social action groups, from humanist thought, people who are academics at our various universities, sort of everything in between. So every week is different, and we invite you to join us more than once. If you would like to receive our newsletter, post something here in the chat, or somebody from membership will reach out to you so you'll have an idea of what's going on. We have a lot of things going on at this congregation, even though a lot of them are virtual right now. So I welcome you to and also stay around for coffee and tea and conversation at the very end of the service. So if you want to get to know us a little bit. Next, the part of our service is joys and concerns. This is an opportunity that we have to express the important joys in our lives, or the concerns or challenges that we might be having.
And there it is. Thank you, Anne.
Thank you, Amanda. I appreciate that. Next in our service is our Time for All Ages, and we have our Director of Religious Education, Judith Stein-Farrell, on the line. Judith, take it away.
Woo! So, hi. Got a question for you. And what's just shout it out. Go ahead. What's an umbrella for?
It's for the rain. I'm the only one unmuted.
Oh, thank goodness somebody.
Protection.
Shade.
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 Okay. I forget. We live in Florida.
Sun twirling.
And for twirling, it's to keep us dry when it rains.
Preventing rain.
Preventing rain?
Yeah.
Yes, but sometimes it's there when we need it.
Let's see. Protecting yourself if you live in a place where there are a lot of bats.
There you go. Okay, so now I'm going to go on with the story.
Be careful what you ask for.
I know. So once upon a time, yesterday, in a place far, far away, here in Altamont Springs, I decided to go outside and got caught in the rain because I was silly and didn't pay attention to the fact that there was weather coming, and didn't have my trusty umbrella with me. So that's what we're going to talk about today. But first, I need you all to know I need your help. But I need your help muted, even though I'm not going to be able to hear you. I'm going to be able to see you. So, which is why I'm not putting up slides or making my face really big on the screen today. Because I want to be able to see faces. So in this story, and this is for kids of all ages. So if there are kids in the room, bring them to the little kids in the room, bring them to the screen. And if there are grown-up kids in the room, just be one. Okay. So when you hear me say the word boom, because this is a story for all ages, when you hear me say the word boom, I want you all to say really loud into your muted screens, boom. All right. So let's give it a test. Once upon a time, there was a loud boom.
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 All right. Good. That wasn't too bad. So, but get louder. Those of you behind your muted screens, say it louder. A couple of you can probably unmute, but I don't want to interrupt the story too much. The other word that I'm going to say periodically in the story is sanctuary. And when I say the word sanctuary, I don't want you to scream it, but I do want you to echo it quietly. Sanctuary. So if I say sanctuary, you say
Sanctuary.
beautiful. Beautiful. Okay. So once upon a time, there was a young child who, just like y'all, who are young children at heart, if not in numbers, right, was caught outside in a sudden rainstorm, just like I was yesterday. And by the way, the twister didn't hit us. The child ran inside the nearest store, and which I wish I'd been able to do yesterday, to seek shelter. And as soon as they closed the door behind them in the store, there was this loud boom. I'm hoping you all said boom behind them. And it was followed by a bright flash of thunder and lightning, and they realized they were going to be inside the store for some time, so they started to look around. And out from behind, through a doorway, came the old shopkeeper. And the old shopkeeper was the oldest woman this child had ever seen, must have been 112. Long white hair, lots of wrinkly faces, and a big smile on their face. And the old shopkeeper said, young one over there, is there something I can help you with? Well, the child was very brave enough to know they were a little scared. So they couldn't talk very well, so they sort of pointed at the outdoors, and the shopkeeper said, did you come in here to seek shelter from the rain? And the child nodded yes. Well, you can wait here if you like in my little sanctuary.
Sanctuary.
Well done. We've got a nice sturdy roof over our heads, and it will keep us safe and dry. The child really appreciated that offer, and they really needed to get back to outside also to continue waiting for their parents who were coming along. And the old shopkeeper sort of noticed that, and they said, well, or you could head back outside, they said, and they handed the child from behind the counter. What did they hand them? An umbrella. There you go, Joey. An umbrella. The child beamed, but they said, oh, I'm sorry, I don't have any money. And the old shopkeeper said, no worries, young one. Just be sure to offer the umbrella to someone else when they need it. The child accepted the umbrella and headed back outside, and I have no sense of concern about this, and opened it up like that. But I am going to blow out my candle. Okay. So in a good mood, they started down the street, and perfectly happy when they saw a man wearing a suit, trying to keep the rain off their heads. And the child saw that the paper with a loud boom.
Boom.
There we go. The child saw that the newspaper they were trying to keep the rain off with was disintegrating. So they skipped over to the man and raised the umbrella up as high as they could and shared it with the man walking through the rain. And the man said, thank you. Remembering the words of the shopkeeper, the child said to the man, I don't know why it's raining, but I know you can help, you can keep dry with me under this portable sanctuary.
Sanctuary.
Good job. The man smiled in relief. I'm going to put this down. He had been having a really bad day. You see, he was wearing the suit because he was going to a very important job interview. He'd been out of work for a long time, and he was desperate. He had to walk to the interview because he couldn't afford a car. When it started to rain, he just cursed his luck. he would show up to this really important job interview soaked, and he knew it would make a really bad first impression. Suddenly the child showed up there, giving him the sanctuary he needed.
Sanctuary.
Suddenly the child spotted their family driving down towards them. Here, said the child, take this umbrella with you. I see my family over there. And on they went. Oh, I couldn't take your umbrella, said the man, feeling guilty. No, take it, said the child. Just offer it to someone else when they need it. And the child put the umbrella in the gentleman's hands and ran off to their family's car. The man couldn't believe how nice that child had been, and he knew he had to hurry, though, because it was about time for that very important interview. And there was another boom of thunder that caused him to start running. Well, I can tell you that the man got the job he was interviewing for, and soon enough, he was able to buy a new umbrella of his own. However, whenever it would rain, he would take not only the umbrella the child gave him, but 2 additional ones, so he could give one to a passerby when they needed it. And every time he gave the umbrella away, he would say, I don't know why it is raining, but I do know that you can keep dry under this portable sanctuary.
Sanctuary.
And soon everyone in the town had an umbrella, and they would take them with them. And if the townspeople passed by someone without an umbrella, they would give up their own umbrella and pass on the words, now known by the entire town. I don't know why it's raining, but I do know you can keep dry under this portable sanctuary.
Sanctuary.
This story was written by another DRE friend of mine, Tim Atkins, and narrated by me. On to the service.
Thank you, Judith. I appreciate that. Now is a time in our service where we have our interlude and offering. So if we were face to face, we would be passing around baskets where people could give their donations, but we don't have that. So everybody is asked to either donate online using the website, and the URL is listed on the slide there. You can also mail a check to our offices, and 40% of the loose plate offering goes to a charitable organization that's chosen by SAC. And this quarter, it's Second Harvest Food Bank. So please donate generously. Thank you for that musical interlude. I don't know who that was. The artist wasn't there, but it was lovely to have that orchestra music. Right, so now is our time for our speaker. We have the Reverend Kathy Schmitz with us today. She's coming to us virtually from Atlanta. Formerly, she was the minister at 1U downtown Orlando, and she's heavily involved with the Interfaith Council here in Central Florida. Reverend Kathy has spoken to us many times in the past, and we welcome her back today. So Reverend Kathy, I'll take it over to you.
Thank you. Thanks so much. I'd like to start with 2 readings this morning. The first comes from the sermon, Justice Without Violence, from Martin Luther King in 1957. He spoke often on this topic in those days. He wrote, "There are certain things we can say about this method that seeks justice without violence. It does not seek to defeat or humiliate the opponent, but to win his friendship and understanding. I think this is one of the points, one of the basic points, one of the basic distinguishing points between violence and nonviolence. The ultimate end of violence is to defeat the opponent. The ultimate end of nonviolence is to win the friendship of the opponent. It is necessary to boycott sometimes, but the nonviolent resistor realizes that the boycott is never an end in itself, but merely a means to awaken a sense of shame in the oppressor, that the end is reconciliation, the end is redemption. So the aftermath of violence is bitterness. The aftermath of nonviolence is the creation of the beloved community. The aftermath of nonviolence is redemption and reconciliation. This is a method that seeks to transform and to redeem and win the friendship of the opponent and make it possible to live together as siblings in a community and not continually live with bitterness and friction. Our second reading comes from Carter Hayward, a feminist theologian who was one of the first 11 women ordained as an Episcopal priest, titled Love is Concrete. Love, like truth and beauty, is concrete. Love is not fundamentally a sweet feeling, not at heart a matter of sentiment, attachment, or being drawn toward. Love is active, effective, a matter of making reciprocal and mutually beneficial relation with one's friends and enemies. Love creates righteousness and justice here on earth. To make love is to make justice. As advocates and activists for justice know, loving involves struggle, resistance, risk. Here in the readings. Lamar Glover is an adjunct professor of physics at California State University. When speaking on the topic of flat earthers, those folks who believe that the earth is not a sphere, but rather a disc or plane, Glover had this to say. So every flat earther shouldn't be held with contempt, but serve as a reminder of a scientist that could have been someone who fell through the cracks. And we, as ambassadors of science, are called to do more, right? So scientists of varying degrees of professionalism consider becoming a mentor to someone who is coming from a non-traditional point of entry to the sciences, end quote. Become a mentor. Don't belittle, don't denigrate, don't create resentment or bitterness. Become a mentor. Reach out a hand. Invite others in. Share your umbrella. This may require a change in behavior, our behavior. It may also require a change in attitude, our attitude. Because the thing is, I can't remember a time when I changed my beliefs because someone put me down. If we want to encourage people to new ways of thinking, we may just need to start by checking our own stuff. We may need to heed the words of Carter Hayward when she said, love is active, effective, a matter of making reciprocal and mutually beneficial relation with one's friends and enemies. If we want to change the world, we may first need to change ourselves. Because I don't just want to invite folks to understand the geometry of planet Earth. I want to invite folks to help create a shared vision of what is possible on our precious blue marble. I want to create a world in which our debates are not about the shape of our world, but rather how best to live sustainably on it. I want to create a world in which we are not arguing about whether or not there is systemic injustice, but one in which we are searching together for ever more ways to help justice flourish. I want to create a world in which even life's inevitable conflicts are handled in ways that are constructive and generous and healthy. In other words, I want to be part of creating the beloved community, and I want everyone else to be part of it too. This term, beloved community, was popularized by the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. back in the 50s and 60s, though it predates him. We throw it around a lot today. I wonder if we all mean the same thing when we say it, whether we all understand the same thing when we hear it. Beloved means to be deeply loved. What would it mean for a community to be deeply loved? I think such community is the world of our dreams, is heaven here on earth, is that elusive thing that we believe might, just might be possible. This is the North Star on which we set our gaze, even though we know we will never arrive. Beloved community is our imagination's vision of what is possible. It is a vision that we love deeply. You and I might not share the exact same vision, though I'd guess that our visions are closer to each other than either is to the world we live in today. I'd love it if we could spend our time creating shared visions and working to make them happen. But I've come to realize that some people have very different visions than me. Many years ago, when I lived in the Northeast, there was a blizzard coming. So we went to Blockbuster to pick up some videos for our snow day. We got several we knew, and I grabbed one that looked like a B-grade science fiction movie. Partway through, the video took a turn I did not see coming, and I found myself sitting wide-eyed. I realized that in the film, the Secretary General of the United Nations was the Antichrist. And the way you could tell was because he was because he had the goal of world peace. And apparently everyone knew that that is what the Antichrist wanted. What? I was so confused. This was my first exposure to the Left Behind series of books and movies, novels about a possible end time from an apocalyptic Christian point of view. More than that, it was the first time in my optimistic life that I realized that some people don't really want the same thing as me, didn't share a remotely similar vision for the world as it could be. It was disorienting. I am no longer so naive, though I haven't given up being an optimist just yet. About 4 years ago, I changed my Facebook banner. Ever since then, it has read, Unity. It means all of us. I was thinking about unity back then, and I'm thinking about it now. And I think that's an important part of any conversation about beloved community. What I meant when I first put it up was that if you want unity, then there must be inclusion and justice for all. Immigrants, Blacks, Indigenous people, people of color, members of the LGBTQ community, and people living with disabilities, and women, and more, everyone. What I mean now is that if we want unity, then we will have to find a way to include everyone, even those folks who don't yet want to include the other folks. Oh, heck, what a hassle. Can't those people just go away? Well, the thing is, they probably aren't going away. We have to share the planet with them, whatever shape it is. We can silence them and take away their power. I certainly think we should avoid letting them drive the bus. But we don't need to belittle or disparage them. We don't need to create unnecessary bitterness and resentment. This does not mean that we negotiate with terrorists. It doesn't mean we compromise with racists or homophobes or sexists. It does mean that we have to keep the end goal in sight. The ever-evolving vision of the world as it could be and should be. It does mean that we are willing to say over and over again in all sorts of ways, we're going this way. We invite you to come along. We need to mentor. We need to practice love that is active, effective, a matter of making reciprocal and mutually beneficial relations with one's friends and enemies. We need to be nonviolent, not just physically, but also psychologically and spiritually. We need to hold out the possibility that redemption and reconciliation are possible. With our universalist forebears, we need to believe that all people can be saved, that is, brought back into right relationship. I'm not saying this is easy. I am saying that it is the work to which we are called. In the first reading, King said, "And so the aftermath of violence is bitterness. The aftermath of nonviolence is a creation of beloved community. The aftermath of nonviolence is redemption and reconciliation." This is a method that seeks to transform and to redeem and win the friendship of the opponent and make it possible to live together as siblings in a community and not continually live with bitterness and friction. And so it is up to us to choose the aftermath with which we wish to live. The way we will live in beloved community is also the way to beloved community. One way that this change has been framed in recent years is that rather than calling people out, we call them in. Rather than shame and alienate, we need to invite them back to healthy relationship. One of the gifts of our Unitarian Universalist congregations is that our communities can be places where we practice behavior, the kinds of behavior that we want to see and to use in the world. So rather than dealing with this grand goal of creating beloved community by way of world peace, it might be a little easier to relate to if we think about our congregational life. So I'd like to share a few stories from the first congregation that I served as a settled minister. Because while the context is more contained, the principles are the same. I had been leading the congregation for about 6 years when I was about to head out on my first sabbatical. The congregation had had some significant conflict before I arrived. We'd been working together to learn new ways to be community. Days before I left for my sabbatical, someone blurted out in a panic, "But what if there's a conflict while you're gone?" I realized that I was getting way more than my fair share of credit for their improved state. They were the ones who had been willing to learn and to change. I knew they could do it, but apparently they didn't. I felt like Dumbo's magic feather. They thought they needed me, but they didn't. I said, if there's a conflict, just ask yourself, what is the next right thing? What will help us get back to health. And they did, and I had a wonderful sabbatical. It was in that congregation that I developed my conviction that we Unitarian Universalists have an obligation to create healthy communities within our congregations. Over the years, I've encountered many people who have trouble playing well with others. They may have had, and often did, have other fine qualities, but still, their community-breaking behaviors were problematic. What I learned was that if the community itself is strong and healthy, challenging people can be involved and the community could prevent harm. Two more stories from that congregation that was learning so much. A couple years into my time there, a person with a strong personality and many gifts was causing so much trouble that the board decided to remove him from membership and bar him from campus. It was heart-wrenching. The congregation was alarmed. Unitarian Universalists accept everyone, don't they? A congregational meeting was held and the decision explored. In the end, the congregation understood and asked that processes be put in place to prevent things from getting to that point again. It was a turning point for the congregation. They knew that they had the power to take the steps to keep their congregation safe and healthy. They could expect accountability and they committed to continue to grow. It may have been a turning point for the individual as well. Last I heard, he had started attending another Unitarian Universalist congregation. It was bigger, probably healthier, more urban, and more used to dealing with challenging behavior. They had policies and procedures in place to manage this person's more problematic behaviors. And last I knew, he was a successful member. If we are healthy as congregations, we can include people who often find it hard to be included. Another story that exemplifies the growing health of that congregation. Their minister, their previous minister of 10 years, had had a negotiated resignation. This means that you could say she resigned under pressure, just short of being fired. The congregation had done a lot of work to recover from the conflict and controversy that surrounded that departure. Within my first month, I found myself on the phone with Richard. Richard had been one of the key players in the controversy that ended the previous ministry. Richard was one of those people with abundant energy who does lots of good stuff and is also a pain in the neck. I was explaining to Richard that people were upset by how he was running a committee he was chairing. He could not hear my input. He resigned not only as chair, but from the committee. He stopped attending congregational events. For the next 2 years, I would ask his friends how he was doing, but there was little more I could do. During the time Richard was away, I learned more about the conflict that had happened before I arrived. One person had this to say about it. The minister made some mistakes, but we, the leaders, did a lot wrong too. I wish we had been more skilled in how to handle a difficult situation, end quote. Over the years, the congregation worked to develop its skill and learned how to handle behavior that was not helpful to the community. Eventually, Richard started coming around again, but the congregation he re-entered was not the same one he had stormed out of. They had learned a lot and grown plenty. At the beginning of my 6th year with the congregation, in a membership committee, Richard started to make over-the-top comments about the congregation as a whole. I called him out on that behavior. He did not like being called out and wish I had called him in. But it is what happened next that was noteworthy. Over the next week, Richard went around the congregation to official leaders and also to people who held informal power. He told them I was bad. He told them I shouldn't be allowed to have my sabbatical. In fact, he told them they should fire me. For the congregation, it was déjà vu all over again. Except for one thing. It was not the same congregation it had been last time Richard tried to get rid of a minister. To a person, they said, "Well, Richard, what did Kathy say when you sat down and talked to her about this?" And since he hadn't, they didn't listen to his complaints anymore. If he wanted to address his concerns, he needed to address them to the person he was concerned with, in this case, me. Within a week, Richard had stopped his destructive behavior. I continued my ministry, took my sabbatical, and 2 years later left to pursue professional and personal adventure. It was the first ministerial departure without controversy that the congregation had experienced in 50 years. I'm proud of this story. You might think that I'm proud because I survived an attack by someone with a history of destroying ministries. That's not why I'm proud. I'm proud because Richard survived. Richard survived not because of anything I did, but because of what the congregation and its leaders did. They responded to destructive behavior with healthy behavior. In doing so, they not only prevented another abrupt ministerial departure, they also helped control Richard's behavior when he didn't know how. They refused to let him do harm, and they still loved him. Some people think that the way to deal with destructive behavior is always to get rid of the people exhibiting the behavior. And while that's true in extreme cases, it may sometimes be necessary, it is almost always best to deal with the destructive behavior by challenging the behavior itself. These stories are about my perspective as a minister, but they apply to any congregation, to any group of people, and frankly, of any size. We can say to people in our congregations, in our neighbors, our workplaces, our government, our world, we're going this way. We think it is the way to unity, to beloved community, to a peaceful, just, and sustainable world for all. We practice this in our covenantal tradition, where we are brought together by shared ideas about how to be together rather than specific beliefs about the cosmos. We have the opportunity to be intentional about building health in our communities and taking our learning out into the world, to continue learning from each other and from those around us, to deepen our understanding and widen our perspective, so that the elusive dream that we have, the heaven on earth, that beloved community, will shine just a little bit brighter in our lives and in our world. May it be so. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Kathy. I feel like that's just what we needed today, especially for me. I don't know how others feel, but that was wonderful. And we're so lucky to have you join us today. Next in our service, we will extinguish our chalices. So if you will take your chalice and say the words on the screen with me. We extinguish this flame, not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. And our next hymn is We'll Build a Land, which is a mainstay of Unitarian Universalist services. And I think Patrick will play that.
We
I look forward to the day when we're back in the sanctuary and our choir or our whole congregation is singing that song. I think we're time for closing words now. And this is from Minister Darcy Rowick. She's from a Unitarian Universalist minister based in New Orleans. And the title of her saying is, "Each of us ministers to a weary world." There is too much hardship in this world to not find joy every day. There's too much injustice in this world to not right the balance every day. There is too much pain in this world not to heal every day. Each of us ministers to a weary world. Let us go forth now and do that which calls us to make this world more loving, more compassionate, and more filled with the grace of divine presence every day. So ends our formal service. But if you'd like to sit around and talk for a little while, like we would if we were sitting in the sanctuary, and enjoy a cup of coffee, you can mute, and we can have our chatter. I want to thank Reverend Kathy again and hope she'll stay around in case there's any commentary or questions.